There's our caregiver panel. And now we first have Heather Armstrong. I hope. Yes, Heather?
Yes.
Okay. Heather Armstrong is the managing local ombudsman for the Area Agency on Aging. So thank you for over 12 years. Hey, nice. She has her master's in gerontology. There's 400 other things here that I could just brag on you, but thank you. So, so I'm going to introduce her first. The panel, you guys can go ahead and sit down. I'm going to introduce you first and let you kind of give a 10-minute info about what you do. You're more than welcome to walk around if you'd like. You want them behind? Oh, okay. Okay, so let you talk and then I'll introduce our next panel.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, most importantly, that's my family. So, that's my dad. He has Alzheimer's, and as all of you know, it's devastating. I've suspected he has had dementia since probably 2018. I live here in Texas. My family's in Florida. So it was a lot of, on the phone with my mom, encouraging her, go to the doctors, talk to the doctors, let's get a neurology, those kinds of things. They live in the Keys in Florida, which is beautiful, but healthcare is really lacking, and I have to drive quite a while to get there. My mom finally was able to see such a difference that she said, I really need to do something else. I need to go to another doctor. I said, good. So she found a great neurologist 2.5 hours away, tested my dad, diagnosed him. It was July of last year, so officially in July of last year he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And it was the one thing I asked him not to have, and that's what we received. But we just kind of kicked it into high gear and said, okay, so what do we do next? And the neurologist said, well, there is Leqembi. I said, great, talk to us about that. And he did. Kisunla was coming out. It wasn't quite approved yet. But my dad was most likely not going to be a candidate because he has a cancer diagnosis also. And so the Leqembi has been amazing. He's had 25 infusions. I won't lie to you, the first one didn't go great. The infusion went fine, but because they were 2.5 hours away, Mom said, well, let's, go to Costco and get some shopping in. So he wound up passing out in Costco, spent the night in the hospital, but he was okay. So my mom was like, I'm done. I said, I love you, Mom, but no, we're not done. It was a bad first experience, but we're gonna get through this. So my brother's 4 hours from them. So he wound up driving down 3 times, bringing them back up to the infusion, driving them back home, and then going. And then I was there for infusion number 4. I saw the difference at infusion number 4. My mom saw it sooner, obviously she lives with him, but he had like a sparkle back in his eye, he had a bit of a sense of humor back, he was participating more in our conversations. I mean, it was more like my dad. And I mean, I'm just floored. As I said, he's had infusion number 25. Thankfully, the hospital where they live in the Keys wound up getting the Leqembi infusion, so now they drive 10 minutes, so that obviously makes it a lot easier. And they came to see me here in Texas because they are going to move, because my dad will need more care, and I'm able to help my mom with that better than my brother would be able to. And so we did infusions up here, so we found a great infusion center. And they've done the Leqembi infusions up here. They're back in Florida now. They'll be coming back to see me in September. So the great thing is you can travel and you can go places and still receive the infusions. And everybody's just been wonderful to work with. He had a cognitive test, gosh, it was probably about 3 weeks ago, and he improved his score 3 points. My mom said the doctor was floored. He's just so happy, and they're already talking about the maintenance doses, and they're talking like once a month. I'm a nervous wreck, and I'm thinking, well, if we're doing twice a month now, and it's 10 minutes away, let's kind of keep on the every other week cycle, but we'll see what, the doctor decides. But, I mean, I'm so thankful for Leqembi. I mean, if we can keep my dad where he is now, I mean, he recognizes me, he talks to us, as I said, he's participating so much more, he's really got that sparkle back in his eye, his sense of humor, I mean, that's the best. I didn't realize I missed it so much until, it started to come back. he was a teacher for 30 years in New York, so the man could talk, let me tell you. And so for him not really talking and participating, it was just such a loss. And it was just sad because you kind of could just see him look around the family, and he knows us all and recognizes us all, but he just wasn't really participating. When we talked about our long-term, way back when kind of memories, he was able to participate, and he was very good about that, which we know is pretty typical. But again, he doesn't necessarily remember what he had for breakfast this morning, but does that really matter? No. I mean, does it matter to me that he realizes who we are and he's participating and he goes to therapy? And he says to me one day, "Why am I going to therapy?" I said, "Dad, what did you always tell me? Use it or lose it." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, you're right." So it's not, he's just, but he does it, and he's fine going to the Leqembi infusions. We kind of talked about what those were and what it meant, and he said, "Well, I want to do whatever I need to do to, keep my memory and keep going." And that was the only answer we needed. So I'm just, again, so very thankful. I just want you guys to know that there is hope, and we are each other's hope. I participate every year in the walk. I participated, for probably 20 years. My mom's my mom's dad, so my grandpa had Alzheimer's. So at 18, I remember them driving from Florida to our house in New York for my high school graduation. And my grandpa got out of the car, was fine, and then he's like, "I'm ready to go home." That's what he says to my grandma. And I was like, "Wait, what?" I didn't understand everything at 18, but now at 50, and as an ombudsman in nursing homes and assisted livings every day, I see a lot of dementia, a lot of Alzheimer's, so I understand it a lot better now. And so the walk is so important, so I hope you guys are going to participate. Even just come and cheer us on. It's making such a difference, just everything that you do. Thank you guys for being here. Obviously my mom is the major caregiver. I've seen the burnout in her. I see how she gets tired, and that's why I'm glad that they're willing to come here so that I can help her and give her some relief. But I just thank you all as caregivers for everything that you do. You are not alone. And again, thank you for coming. And again, please hold hope. Your donations to the walk, anything that you do, anything that you give to any contribution, it's making a difference. And looking at that guy right there with that smile on his face, you're helping him, one of many. So the Leqembi, the things that are coming out, they are really, really making a difference. And I'm just very thankful.
Thank you so much, Heather. Thanks for sharing your story. Next, we have Kathleen Schock. Okay. A caregiver from 2018 to 2025. She's also a retired teacher. I think we have a theme going here. Master's in Education from Trinity, fond traveler. We're going to have to get stories. Avid reader. All right, and we're going to let you chit-chat about your caregiving experience.
Well, thank you, Heather, for that wonderful presentation and also that good segue on the caregiver. You can see the picture up there. There's my family. I'm the tall one. You can tell. That's my husband, Jim, my older son, Robert, and the younger one, I call him Jim too. So he's not the junior, he's Jim too. I feel like this is such an important subject and one that's often overlooked. You think, well, this is the spouse, this is the child, this is, that's their job. They signed on for that. They're selfless, they're giving of themselves, and they're sacrificing. And it's very stressful role to be in. And so it's critical for caregivers to take care of themselves. You need to do things that will help you. When you're in a good mental place, a good physical place, a relaxed place, you can give more and help your loved one so much better than if you're stressed out and on your last nerve. So I'm just going to say a few things. My husband was actually tested 3 times before he was diagnosed. And to me it was obvious that he had symptoms and needed help. He has a college degree in physics and mathematics, and yet he was asking me to figure out the tip at the restaurant, and that's pretty complicated, but he also was asking me to check the arithmetic to add it together. the bill and the tip. That got to be beyond him. Well, that isn't normal with someone that's good with numbers. So it is, I can't stress enough for you to follow up. Don't say, oh, that's a one-off. When they're doing something that you know is not normal for them, get them tested. And you've heard throughout the day, I don't know if you know what a wonderful revolution it is with these scientific breakthroughs. Because until a few years ago, there was no treatment. There was no treatment. They didn't even know what the cause might be for Alzheimer's. And now we have several options. And as they were saying, hopefully within 10 years, there will be even a cure. So those treatments and those cures are only effective for early stages. So get your testing, accept the testing. Don't be in denial. If you're denying, you're not getting help. If your family is denying that there's a serious situation here, they're not getting help. And I would urge caregivers to be proactive, because just as Samuel said, Jim got his diagnosis and that was it. Oh, your test came back, you have Alzheimer's. That was it. Come back in 8 months. No, here's an explanation. No, here's some follow-up care. No resources. Nothing. And so you have to be proactive. You have to do this yourself. And one of the best things that happened to me was finding the Alzheimer's Association, because they are a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of educational materials, numerous support groups that will help you. So call them. They have a helpline that's 24 hours. And when they answer the phone, it's a trained counselor. They're knowledgeable, they're experienced, they can help you. Okay, well, my husband won't eat. I've tried to feed him his food all day, or he wants to get out. I can't keep him to stay in. Anything that comes up that's causing you stress, you don't have an answer for. They are the answer people. So I can't urge you enough to take advantage of the resources that are out in the community for you. I like to say that forewarned is forearmed. So the more that you can educate yourself, then the more you can do to help yourself and your loved one. And I would urge you to be proactive, because, well, I was thinking of an example earlier. Jim was having some physical therapy at home, and they said, oh, he's going to need this walker for 6 weeks during this therapy. And we can order it through Medicare, but it'd probably take 8 weeks to get here. So I'm just going to lend you this walker. No. I said, well, it's going to take 2 months to get here. I want to have it for the next time. And he, as he got weaker and less able, that walker became crucial, because that's how they got him to stand, to transfer him to a chair, or to walk a short way when he was still able to walk. So if I hadn't already had it, I would have been waiting 2 months to get it. So be proactive. Look for resources that are in your community. Things that aren't so obvious. For example, the diaper bank, the Texas Diaper Bank, provides incontinence materials, supplies. That's a very significant financial drain on families. And if you can sign up through the diaper bank, they're going to deliver your supplies right to your front door. So look for these things that are available in the community. Another one that's not so obvious that I think of, and that we had them on the screen earlier, Meals on Wheels has an outreach to the dementia community. On site, they have a daycare center called Grace Place, but they have activities, they have resources, they have support for the community at large as well. So put out those feelers and look for resources. They're out there, but they're not necessarily going to come knocking on your door. One of the things that has really helped me was a support group. And this is something Samuel and Heather mentioned as well. They've been through it. And we all walk a similar journey. It's unique to each of us. But in the broad parameters, it's very similar. And if you can link up with a good support group, that is a community of your peers. They know what you're talking about. You don't have to preface this experience that you've had because they know. They've been there. They've heard it. They've experienced it. You don't have to apologize for your tears because they cried last week. A support group is really an essential for a caregiver. It's a way for you to relieve your stress. It's a way for you to learn because, okay, they went to the doctor. Here's what they learned. You're learning it now. So look for a support group. They're also in unexpected places. You can find support groups. Well, Alzheimer's Association has a list. Look there. But there are religious organizations that offer support groups. There are nonprofit organizations that have support groups and resources for you. So that's one of the things I really, really stress. And the emotional component is really important because you find that you're not alone. There are other people that are with you in this journey and in this struggle. It's a difficult and isolating struggle. So it's important to know that you have compadres out there. Another thing that helped me a lot is a memory cafe. I don't know if any of you are familiar with a memory cafe. These are events that allow you and your loved one to have pleasant experiences together. And there are a lot of foundations out there that offer them. We went on, a group took us to coffee at a coffee house. Another group we attended, we painted little flower pots together and then we planted a little plant in it. Fun things, we had I can't remember what it was called. We did little tiles in the park. So we were in the park and we were making a mess with plaster and putting little, I don't know, it was fun. And so you're doing things that are active, they're allowing you to interact with your loved one in a very positive and happy setting. And that's important because there are times when you need to step outside of that role as the caregiver. Because first and foremost, you're the loved one. That's important. You're the spouse, you're the child, and you want to maintain that role, and you want to have that positive interaction with them. And memory cafes are a way that you can do that. Let me see, what else should I say? I want to say that it's important to adapt as you go along. You need to meet your loved one where they are. Otherwise, you're just going to wear yourself out. You're not going to be able to teach them. You're not going to be able to win an argument based on, rationality. It's not going to happen. They have a condition that doesn't allow them to do that. So it's up to you to adapt. Agree with them, redirect them, engage them at a level that they're able to. I know one of the things Jim really, really enjoyed, even till the very end, was playing catch. We had a ball, and throw the ball, and if we could get maybe a third person to join us, and he'd still get that devilish little look in his eye because he was going to kind of keep you on edge. Is he going to throw it to me? Is he going to throw it to her? What's he going to do? And so, even when he was very, very severely affected by the disease, he could still enjoy that. And so, find ways to change what you're doing. You don't have to, well, I shouldn't say it that way. You can still do the same things. You just adapt to what his ability level is. And always keep in mind what their interests are. he had picked out a new Bible, and it was a very simple, he shocked me when he picked that one, because it was a children's picture Bible. And I guess he realized that was maybe his level. But you know what he enjoyed me reading to him most? Stardate from the University of Texas Astronomy Department, and I'm reading this gobbledygook of astronomy verbiage right over my head, but he was loving it. He always liked stars. And so always remember what they're interested in. Keep doing that, but adapt it to what they're capable of. Finally, I want to say, it's easy to get down when everything is so stressful. You need to stop and think that that's a negative thought. And just recognize that's a negative thought, put it aside. Look at your situation, there are lots of challenging situations, but think, okay, I'm going to reframe that challenging situation and say, how is that an opportunity? Don't go downhill, you know. You need to really take advantage and be grateful for every day that you have with your loved one. I've heard it said over and over that, you know, when you're a caregiver, this is the best day of your life. Because the trajectory is downhill. But don't dwell on that. Take advantage of every golden opportunity that you have to enjoy your loved one while you have them with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. And third, I'm going to introduce Layla Sanonovic. I sat here and practiced that for the last 10 minutes. She's a compassionate leader, a grief specialist, life coach, 13 years of experience building a reputation of creative, supportive spaces where people can process loss, discover resilience, and move forward with hope. A whole lot more about her, but I'm just going to let her talk about grief. So, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Okay, let's see. I'm usually really loud, so I'm just going to practice a little bit. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me this way?
No, online folks need the microphone.
Okay, good. Well, I'm a grief lady. How fun is that? So it's such a privilege and honor to be here. And I'm always a little nervous when I'm speaking to large groups like this. And that's mainly because I know some stuff. I have some certificates, but you are an expert in this topic. There is nothing I'm going to tell you or share with you that you do not know, you have not experienced. I love this panel because it kind of is going to guide us into this living, breathing thing called grief. And while the typical grief is associated with death, it's final, right? There is the end. The Alzheimer's, dementia, it's one of those things that every day there's a little bit of losing something or someone that you have loved. And it's both something and someone, right? There's an independence. Your mom is not your mom anymore. Your husband is not your husband anymore. And in that, then you have identity change as well. You are not who you are anymore. You are losing bits and pieces of yourself as well. So I want you to remember this. Am I supposed to be clicking on the slides? Thank you. I'm a visual person. So I brought this. The top part says, people tend to believe that grief shrinks over time. And if you have ever been in therapy or talked to somebody and said, give it time, give it time. But that's not true. For many, grief does not go away. So I want you to think of grief as like this fist that fits into your heart. That's the size of the grief. Between now and 20, 30, 40 years from now, that grief is going to be the same size. What's going to change is the life around the grief. Like today, your life is a little bigger than what it was yesterday. You have learned resources. I'm overwhelmed. Just the technology part, how much you need to think about and all of that. There is an emotional aspect to it. there is financial aspect to it, there is a physical aspect to it, but we haven't even touched the spiritual aspect to it. There's so many different losses. So make sure your life gets bigger so that grief has room to breathe. And every once in a while, the grief will hit the part of the life, right? The corners, the edges. But it will grow, your life will grow, and you have to give it space to dance. And one day you will be able to dance with your grief. We don't move on, we move with. We are who we are today because our loved one has taught us something. We develop into these amazing people. Yes, we struggle. The importance of self-care is everything. And it can be as little as something like this. Today, I was overwhelmed with a lot of things. It's Saturday, I wanted to make sure I do a good job here, and then I have to rush home and take care of my kiddos who are going through their own things, school is starting and everything else. I did not have enough capacity to match the blouse and pants. So I just bought a dress that came with the belt, and there you go. That was my self-care. So little things, celebrate little wins in life. It matters, it will be life-changing. There will be a day that you can just get up, brush your teeth, and go back to bed. And guess what? That's okay, because that's the best you can do today. Give yourself grace. You do so much. You're going through so many transitions. Give yourself grace. We don't all have luxury to do bubble bath, right? And even if you do, it's work to do the bubble bath. Unless I have somebody who's gonna set it up and clean it up, I don't want it. Right? And then let's say I do have, then I have to sit there and I was like, okay, how do I relax? Like, do I wait for it? Like, it's the whole thing. Take a joint, taking a good shower, right? Little things. Don't overwhelm yourself. Self-care doesn't have to be, I have to go eat caviar and drink wine. That's disgusting. It really is. Little things. Buy a jumper, buy a onesie, take a shower. You know, that's the best that you can do. Give yourself grace. There are organizations in the most uncommon places. I work for the Ecumenical Center, which is right over here on the corner of Wurzbach and Ewing-Hassel. And we do different types of support groups. I have honor and privileges of facilitating those support groups. And I love each and every group and everyone that has come through those doors. We sit together, we cry together, we give ourselves permission to laugh, right? We learn about guilt. Speaking of guilt and grief in Alzheimer's and dementia, it's like marriage. I want you to know guilt is okay, but it's also optional, right? When you feel the guilt, I want you to sit down with your truth. And the truth is, you are taking care of your loved ones. You are doing the best that you can. You do show up the best way you can. That's the truth. The guilt is just a noise. And if it shows up, sit with it. I tell my clients, feel the feelings. It's important. Because tomorrow it's going to bring its own set of challenges. Sit with your feelings. Feel the feelings. Do not feed the feelings. Should have, could have, would have. That's garbage. Throw it away. Visualize it if you have to. Make sure you find your people. Look around this room. You are not alone. Everyone is walking their own journey. And yes, there's a lot of similarities. Just finding the proper diagnosis, I'm sure, was horrendous enough. And then learning about it. And then questioning it. And then accepting it. And then there is a middle part that's equally confusing. And then towards the end, and forget about family dynamics and all the complexity of it. Make sure you understand your grief, what it means to you. My definition will not be the same as yours. Because I have to go home. I have 3 kids, different ages, different stages. You might have I don't know, 5 kids, or no kids, or more dogs, or you have a partner that's ill, or maybe you are going through your own struggles. Like, everyone is different. There's so many combinations. Important thing is, give yourself grace. Find your people. Coffee shop, support groups, church community, neighbor. Find your people. We're gonna go to the last slide, and it's gonna have probably my phone number. This is one thing about me. I always look like I'm prepared, and then I go off the rack. Because, thank you. See, I give myself a grace because I'm really passionate about grief. I utilize a lot of art during the grief because sometimes the pain is so overwhelming, there are no words, right? You often hear, it's okay to be okay. What does that mean? I'm not okay to be okay, right? So when you have that stress, then you take paint and you just throw paint around. And it's a beautiful feeling. It's releasing. And then we don't have to speak about feelings, right? We can talk in color. I can talk blue, yellow, green, red. And we don't need to talk about feelings because we are tired of talking about feelings. It's exhausting. I want to be in a little world of reality that I don't need to think about pain and bills and what's next. I just want to be a kid for a minute. Give yourself permission to do that. Life After Loss is a 6-week program at the Ecumenical Center that we would guide you through different steps. And it's a little bit of education, right? It's teaching you how to define emotions, how to feel the emotions, how to express the emotions, different things that we can do. We can garden, we can cook, we can dance, we can sit in silence. There's so many things we can do, and it doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to cost money. May I have the next slide, please? Grief and the holidays, right? Holidays are not the same. Even when you have lost a loved one due to that, it's actually more complex when the loved one is sitting right next to you, but they don't know what it is, what time it is. All of a sudden they're cooking or they want to cook. Sometimes people are really happy during their diagnosis, and sometimes they are really edgy and angry, and that's all understandable. But holidays are never the same. So we have a little grief and a holiday event that's only 2-3 hours long, depending on the amount of people that come through the door. And we sit down in a group just like this, and we kind of talk about it. Right before holidays, we leave it all in that support group, in that space, so when we go home, we are a little lighter, right? If there's a guilt, that rock, we take it and we leave it there. If it's anxiety, we take it out of our backpack and leave it there. Whatever it is, we leave it there. So it's a helpful little thing, just to go and think about holidays. Now, the holidays are not just Thanksgiving and Christmas. We have Mother's Day, Father's Day. There's so many holidays. Valentine's, Memorial, so many holidays. Trigger, trigger, trigger. How I teach people to get over triggers is by being prepared. Thank you for that. Be prepared. When you are prepared, you take that shock element, right? And how you do that? Triggers are kind of like landmines. You never know where you're going to step on them. They're invisible. They just show up. And it could be song at HEB, it could be something in a parking lot, it could be smell of coffee, it could be something that triggers you, right? It's an emotional landmine. So what do? You recognize it. You recognize your pain. And then you recognize the struggle that goes with that pain. And then you discover, okay, if I know these two things, what am I hoping for? And that's how you expand your life. It takes practice, it takes preparation, you can write it down, but it's a tool you can use for any type of thing, because grief is not just loss of loved ones through death, it is through memory loss, it is bankruptcy, it is divorce, it's a loss of pet, right? It's so many things. I work with a lot of veterans who are amputees. Grief comes in many different forms and shapes. And just because you are going through this chapter, life continues lifing. We need to be prepared. That is your gift to yourself. May I have the next slide? Expressive therapeutic arts programs are programs offered at the Ecumenical Center. They're mostly on Saturdays, and they are free of charge. Every first Saturday of every month, we have expressive therapeutic rhythm making. If you are angry or anxious or just need to leave something on the floor, you come over here and you beat the drum for 45 minutes. Let me tell you, you forget all of the problems, and it's a workout beating the drum for 45 minutes. You have the best facilitators. Poetry writing is for those who do not want to beat things. I prefer the first one. Poetry is not my cup of tea. By the time I pick up the word, I'm an anxious wreck. Then the open art studio every fourth Saturday of every month. You come in and you do not need to be an artist. We will guide you through different exercises. We have collages, we have paints, we have anything and everything that you can imagine. And it's free of charge. You can bring your whole family. It's a beautiful thing. I love San Antonio because there are so many non-for-profit organizations and people are really, really trying hard to provide necessary things for our community. So I appreciate that. Let's go to the next slide. You have to remember, grief is love. One cannot go without the other. You cannot go and grieve something or someone unless you have loved them. It's one coin with two different sides. So every time when you're grieving someone, guess what? 10 times more you have to pour that love into you in order to continue. And that's the same thing with this group. As much as you pour into your loved one, you have to pour that much more into yourself. Because if I put myself in a situation that I'm taking care of my mother, she's changing, I'm changing, double grief. Guess what? My kids are watching me change, so therefore they changing, right? So it can become a generational thing. Take care of you because others are watching. Next slide, please. Self-care is self-explanatory. Eat well, refresh, sleep. And I know sometimes when you're so tired and bills are due and you still have to go to sleep, or when you cannot find appropriate care for your loved one, or when you are at the beginning stage and still in denial, they don't sleep, you don't sleep. Sleep is a luxury for a lot of you guys. I get that. But you have to find other ways to nourish your body and your mind. Next slide. And if you ever are in predicament that you don't know where to go, how to find support groups besides just a wonderful organization, please know that you have contact. You can contact me at any time. And I will put you with the correct counselors. We have a variety of different experts in different fields. So just don't be shy. And I want to thank you for letting me be here.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was impressive. I have someone in my men's support group, I think who's been through life after loss. I think he said 3 times already. He loves the program so much. So we'll open this up for questions. So if you have a question for any of our panelists up here, Heather, Kathleen, and Layla, I think I got the names right. Please raise your hand if you have anything you'd like to ask them, how they've dealt with things, anything about caregiving, grief, their experience. Over here.
Heather, when you first learned about a possible treatment for your dad and concerns about should we or should we not, what kind of discussions did you shared this a little bit, but with you and your mom, and I don't know how much with your dad, how was that? Because, yeah, I just think it would be really helpful to hear that, how your family handled that.
So, I was going to fly down to be at the appointment with the neurologist when we heard the results. And the neurologist called my mom and said, I need you to come in Monday. And this was Friday, and our appointment was 2 weeks later. And I immediately went, oh my God. And my mom said, is this good? I said, probably not. Doctors don't usually call and ask to see you early. But I didn't, my husband's like, fly down. I said, no, it's gonna upset her more because she's already thrown off, she needs a routine, she needs her schedule, trying to get me too much. So I was on the phone, and the doctor tells us, we all took it well. My dad doesn't understand, so he's in the middle stages, but the early middle stage. So he's a little late on, we were right kind of on that cusp for whether or not he would have the Leqembi or not. It was kind of a blur. I mean, to be honest, it was a blur. I'm listening, trying to keep myself together because, I want to be strong for my mom and dad. And my mom had some really good questions and my dad didn't really have any. He doesn't really understand he has Alzheimer's. He doesn't realize he doesn't remember things necessarily. He relies a lot, obviously, on my mom. Like, he looks at her all the time for all the questions, all the answers. Like, he kind of defers to her. I never realized how much he relied on her until when they came to live with us for 5 weeks. So they bought the house next door to me, which was fantastic because I love them, but they need their space. My husband and I need our space. But I'm literally right there. So if anything happened, 10 steps and I'm right there. So we heard the news. It was kind of a quick, like, Mr. and Mrs. Hines, we don't have months to make this decision. We have like weeks. So as I said earlier, I said, what else is out there? And he said the Kasuma. But again, he's probably not a candidate because of his cancer diagnosis. And I said, okay, so we'll talk about it. So this was all kind of done on the phone really quick with my brother and my uncle. We're a very small family. And we all kind of decided, like, we wanted to do the Leqembi route. We wanted to try it. I mean, there's no other option. There's risks, we know that, right? I mean, we've heard that with the doctors this morning, talked about the brain bleed, the ARIA. He has some of those risk factors, but to me, I'm willing to take the risk because if it's going to give him some more quality of life, that's what I want. Not about me though. So we talked about it. I mean, we all decided as a family this was the route. My mom was on board. We told her we would be there for her. When we found out it was every 2 weeks, we said, okay, we will help. My brother and I will help. We'll be down there, we'll support. So we made the decision, talked to the doctor. This is not a quick process, just so y'all know. I mean, I'm thinking we tell the neurologist, he says yes, and like this is started. Well, 2 months later, finally my dad got his first infusion. A lot of paperwork, Medicare has to approve it, and blah, 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 insurance. But he got his first infusion. So I did fly down 2 weeks later anyway, and I sat downstairs and I talked to my dad, and I said, Dad, do you understand what's happening? And he said, not really. He had been to the hospital, had his MRI, so at the hospital, and that was probably 3 or 4 days before I arrived, he had a fall. And I said, Dad, do you remember falling like three or 4 days ago? No, I was at the hospital? Why was I at the hospital? I mean, literally, like, he's short term is gone, it's still gone. But I explained to him, and I didn't really do it as a daughter, I kind of did it as an ombudsman. Because as an ombudsman, it's not about me, right? I have to do what my resident is asking for. And so I kind of wanted to treat my dad so I could take my emotion out of it, like my resident. And I talked to him about Leqembi and what it meant and what that would entail. Like, this is going to be driving 2.5 hours, one way, get this infusion for an hour or two, drive back. But this is what it can help with. And he thought about it, for a short period of time. I'm not, it was seconds. But he looked at me and he said, I want to do what I need to do to help, stay okay. And I said, that's all I needed to hear. And so, that was it. And as I said, that first one was terrible. But I will say, I'm on a couple of support groups, I guess, online, kind of just more my comfort. And it's for the Leqembi and the Kasuma. So lots of people asking questions, lots of people having the same experiences, and some people having reactions. And so my mom immediately, told the infusion center and the doctor what happened with my dad when he passed out. So now, like, before he gets it, he gets a Benadryl, he gets a Tylenol, so that's 30 minutes before the appointment. And then in the infusion, he gets like a little steroid shot before. And we've had no issues. So you have to communicate when something happens. You have to communicate, let the doctor know, hey, this is what we experienced. And they've all been responsive. That's also the feedback I see online, like just letting the doctors know, like, they're addressing it. So lots of people like my dad taking those kind of similar things. And we just, proceed. It's been great. I mean, we did find a place that was a little bit closer to them, I think after the third infusion. So when I went for the fourth, it was not as long of a drive. But, I went with them, visited. I mean, the infusion centers are great. The people are great, very nice. Interesting for me, some of the infusion centers, they're just like, you can't be there. Like the clients or patients are in this room and they get it done, and then me and my mom are like out in a different room, which I don't like because people there have Alzheimer's. And of course, one time he didn't eat because nobody reminded him to have lunch while he was there. Frustrating little things. But again, like, you learn, you advocate, you be strong, you have to be that voice for your loved one. But I mean, it's gone very well ever since. The infusion center that we go to here, we're in the room with my dad, so it's great. We pack a little lunch, we visit, we spend time together. But we really made sure it was a family decision and one that he was involved in. We still involve him. I mean, he can make decisions, he can tell me lots of things, and some things I don't want to hear, like his spiciness has come back. Which I think is funny, because it's like, oh, but at the same time that makes me know, like, my dad, he's there. And I love it. It's amazing. And I mean, I'm thankful we made that cutoff. I'm thankful that my mom finally heard me. Mom, I need you to be stronger. I need you to find a different doctor. I need you to tell this doctor what's happening with Dad, what you're seeing. And when she was able to tell me, like after the second infusion, I'm seeing a difference, I was relieved, but I thought myself, like when I went down for infusion 4, as I said, but just to have him back, I mean, and if he doesn't die from this and dies from something else, I am totally okay with that. Because he knows me. When he stayed with us for the 5 weeks, and every morning I would see him before work, and I'd open the front door and I'd say, hey Dad, and he'd say, hey H, how are we doing? Hey sweetie, how's it going today? Or, the afternoon I come home, hey, I'm hungry. And I was like, are you? Of course I know his routine by now, right? And I'm like, are you? What would you like? Would you like some cashews? And he goes, yes, that sounds good. I mean, of course he'll ask for beer every once in a while. He'll ask for a glass of wine every once in a while. Funny story. He drank all his life. I mean, just had a drink. Now, do you think he has forgotten that the doctor said, Mr. Hines, you can have a glass of wine a day? He's never forgotten that. He always remembers. So the doctor said, I can have a glass of wine a day. I said, yes, Dad, the doctor did say you can have 1 glass of wine a day. We've tried to trick him, like do half a glass twice so that he feels like he's getting a little bit more. Nope. He knows. He looks at that glass and he looks at me, and I'm like, well, maybe you can have a little more later. I mean, he's just a riot. But like, I'm so thankful for this, like these moments and being with my mom to help her. She's kind of been the tough one in this fight. Caregiving, she's so dedicated and loves my dad so much that she doesn't want to give any to me, like to help her. And I'm like, Mom, that's why you're here. Like, let me help you. Silly little things. I'm like, let me do the dishes, because just take a break, sit down and have some more coffee, sit and just relax a little bit. She's getting better, and I think as she comes and spends more time with me, she will. But it's just an amazing thing, and it was a family decision. I mean, that's what I'm going to stress. Like, residents, people with Alzheimer's, I mean, they can still make decisions, and we even heard earlier on, even if you have a dementia diagnosis, you can still have capacity to make big decisions. He doesn't right now, but he can make everyday decisions. He can tell us a lot. So don't forget that. I mean, just always include your loved one as much as you can with, questions and situations and holidays and just everything.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Why are, in all these conferences, in all of these conferences I've been to, everyone forgets about the death of the person. Why don't you go through the steps so that the caregiver knows when the person is going to die? I tell them about the gray in their fingernails, underneath the heel turns gray, toes turn black, person's dead. Nobody goes over any of this stuff that actually happens, and it could ease the pain of the caregiver knowing the person's going through these stages and is going to die in half an hour.
I'll respond to that. My husband just died May 29th. none of that happened. And so my answer would be that death is just as individual as the journey, as the illness. And he was not on a death watch. He was perfectly fine. He ate a good breakfast. They were transferring him to a chair in the living room. He just quit breathing. So I think personally, we can ask a professional, but to coach somebody on the steps to look for would be very demoralizing and negative. I think I'm sorry to say that because you said the opposite, but I'm just saying from my experience, I think it's much better to focus on the life that you have while he's there. Focus on what he can do, how you can interact with your loved one, and just be grateful for those moments, because it's just in the grief, right? Grief doesn't follow, used to say, there's these stages and they go one through the other. No, it isn't like that. And death isn't either. So it's good to read through some literature and be aware of those things, but I wouldn't put a lot of stock in them because it doesn't always happen that way.
I think,
Given the fourth stage, what's going to happen?
yeah.
You have to be realistic about this.
Because it's such an individual journey. It's kind of like disease. For some people, it's 1 month. For some people, it's 10 years. Like, we don't know when it's stage 1 and when it's the end of the stage. It's not that clear. Yes.
But when they don't eat anymore, they don't drink, you're in the fourth stage now.
Correct. The best thing for these type of topics are support groups where we can sit down and talk about it. Come once a week and we can discuss it on an individual basis. Speaking in a larger conference and giving, these steps, it does not follow everyone. It's not always the same. So it would be a beautiful thing for you to come, to bring somebody with you if you have a support, and to speak in a group with other people, and we can really dive in and prepare and talk about it. But absolutely, you are correct. There should be a conversation on every stage, 100%. I would ask for individual counseling or for support groups where you can actually dig in and dive in and really ask questions and fall apart and be angry or be sad or whatever it is that comes this way. It is normal to feel all of these feelings, frustrations, and guilt will come with it because your loved one is falling apart and is coming when you almost want end to come so you don't see them suffer, and then you're punishing yourself for feeling that way. It's this vicious circle. With a professional, in an intimate setting, or in a support group, in a confidential, intimate setting, it's the best way to work these things out. But yes, I do believe people need to be talking about it, and I think that's the reason they brought me and Ecumenical Center to kind of let you know that there are places and people that specialize in grief and that can guide you through these steps. Thank you for your question. I think that was really good.
I'd like to add something. Jim was on hospice, and I wasn't appreciative at the time, but right at the beginning when he was in hospice, the nurse gave me this talk. I got the talk, and it kind of boiled down to what's going to happen is going to happen. In other words, I wasn't in charge. I couldn't choose, what was going to happen, when it was going to happen. And it was a very good lesson for me because I had pictured, if you don't mind a little story, I was visiting Jim on Tuesday. And he wasn't feeling well, so I stayed like 6 hours and had dinner there. And I had overheard, it was private, but they were in the next room talking, that they had arranged for the priest to come and give a fellow resident last rites. So before I left, I went in to visit that lady, and I held her hand, and I sang hymns with her, and smoothed her hair, had prayer, and she died the next morning, Wednesday morning. Well, Jim died Thursday morning without any warning. I wasn't there, but in my mind, I had envisioned that his last moments would be the ones I shared with that lady. But that's not the way it happened. So what's going to happen is going to happen. And I don't feel guilt that I wasn't there. I would have preferred to be there, but I wasn't in charge. So I think that was a really important lesson, and the nurse gave me that talk several times because she could tell it was like not sticking. But think about that. You can have your druthers, but what's going to happen is going to happen, and don't beat yourself up about it because it doesn't happen the way that you had envisioned.
I just want to thank you all very much for your vulnerability, for sharing your experiences, personal, professional, everything. I think that really meant a lot to everybody, so thank you very much. Give you guys a round of applause. Thank you. So we're at 2:30, but we're gonna end with our door prizes. Yes, sir.
I come to this conference every year, and there's a lot of talk about support groups. There's a lot of talk about, especially with UT and other groups. But I've yet to find a group that is available on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay? Right now, my son had to come from out of town to join in this conference. I have a daughter that had to leave her job also in Round Rock to come and take care of my wife while I'm here. My other daughter is in the hospital. She's going to be there for 3 months. So there's no, it's very easy to speak about support groups. It's very easy to say it's great, and I'm not knocking support groups. I was in, I would go to support groups when my wife could stay by herself. My wife, not only is the Alzheimer's, but she also has physical problems. She can't get around. She can't walk from point A to point B without a walker. And every time she goes from point A to point B, I have to be right beside her to make sure that she doesn't fall. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. But what I would like to see is these support groups be made available also on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah. I agree. And I think we can probably connect. I was going to say, Layla's right there. She has some groups on Saturdays. She just talked about it. So, yeah. No, please.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we have some support groups on Saturdays. They're more like expressive therapeutic, right? But they're all facilitated by professional licensed counselor. So when you come in a room, you're going to see a whole bunch of tables and chairs and art. And you're thinking it's just arts and crafts, what is this? But it is all set up and structured by professional licensed counselor who's also a professional art therapist. So you think you're just having fun and you're going to do arts and crafts, but everything is laid out for you to have a supporting counseling session
And so-
without
so
you
it may
even
not
knowing.
be the Alzheimer's Association support group, but it is.
But it is a support group. It's a self-care and a mental health wellness kind of combined together. Also, if there is a need that we need, ecumenical center is open on Saturday, so we do have individual support groups as well. And then my support groups are always late at night, from 6:30 to 9. And we never end at 9, we always end up chit-chatting more. But we start at 6:30, so after hours of the thing. And if there is a need that we do need to open up on Saturday and have a support groups, just let me know. And if you know one or two other people that can do it, I would be more than happy, the center would be more than happy to form a group together. We need to know that there is a need. But thank you for your question and for your concern. It's really important to know.
And thank you for your care of your wife. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna get a few gifts